Let me sincerely appreciate the professors here present and every member of the College of Environmental Sciences who have guided me in this journey. Akonde Ifeoluwa is my name, and my matric number is 2013 PG 007. My study is evaluation of emerging trends in the fourth industrial age architectural design practice in Nigeria. Please permit me to throw light on the words and phrases that made up the topic. Evaluation as used in the context of this study simply refers to process of judging or appraisal. Emerging trends simply refers to new ideas, new philosophies, and most importantly, the new intelligent and technological tools of the fourth industrial age. By fourth industrial age or fourth industrial revolution or industry 4.0, they are interchangeably used in the body of literature and they refer to the same thing. A man called Schwab in 2016 defined the concept, even though the literature opined that the concept of fourth industrial age started since 2011. So why is this study important? The study is important because of the revelation of the literature that there is a wide disparity between the adoption and usage of the technological tools in the developed world and developing nations as Nigeria. And the work of literature is also centered around technological tools usage in developed world. As if that is not enough, authors also opine that architects on this part of the world are always late to catch up with developmental technologies. So there was need to look at the situation and stand of architectural design practice in Nigeria with respect to fourth industrial revolution, or if you like, say industry 4.0. So my presentation will cover the introduction to why the study was necessary, to how the study was done in form of methodology, to the result, and to the contribution. So by introduction, architecture and its practice were once purely for function. There was a time that the man who is the user was both the architect and the builder. And the first time that we had a proper and formal architectural design practice was traced to the founding of the then University of Ibadan, the premier university, when some foreign architects, British architects, were commissioned to plan and design the then University of Ibadan as revealed by Adebisi and Adeoye 2018, Araila in 2001. So architectural design practice has experienced some revolutions from hand to card to BIM, and to what we have today, where architects can be boastful of some technological tools such as augmented reality, virtual reality, digital printing, and all of that big terminologies that are associated with the era that we have found ourselves. So in the past 40 years, the architectural design practice has experienced those major technological innovations, even though the literature is consistently saying that the architects in this part of the world are late to catch up with those innovations. And this transformation is taking place on both local and global scale, as revealed by Okpoko and Oluwataye in 2015. So it is safe to say that the current industry is about technology driven, and then the fourth industrial revolution has affected the way we work, the way we live, even the way we play. And architectural design practice is not exempted from this. So what are the problems, or what were the problems that made this study to look into what we are looking into? So research has highlighted the transformative impact of BIM on design practice as established by those authors, and studies have also explored the broader implications of the industry on architecture, just like every other profession. But there is a significant disparity in the body of work that if you look at what is obtainable in advanced world compared to what is obtainable in developing nations like Nigeria today, there is a gap as established by Adeniyi Eto, Oke-Eto 2022. So, and the existing literature on the adoption of Industry 4.0 technologies, especially in practice of architecture, is mainly focused on developed countries. So it became necessary for this study to be the foundational literature body for such subsequent work. So the aim is to examine the prevailing technological trends in Nigerian architectural practices, especially in the fourth industrial revolution, which started in 2011 as established by the body of literature. So the objectives include to examine the characteristics of architectural design practice, to examine the emerging technologies adopted for the practice of architecture in Nigeria. It also assessed the impact of these emerging technologies on the architectural design practice in Nigeria. And the study also investigated the factors that influence the adaptation of these established technologies on the practice of architecture. And then the study eventually categorized architectural design practicing firms to enable us see the firms that are still traditional and the ones that are already moving and tending towards the technological innovation that we are talking about. And finally, the study developed a guideline for implementing these emerging technologies so that subsequently architects on this part of the world are always catching up, and they can be at the global path compared to what is obtainable in the global landscape of architectural practice. So the scope, this project is approached from two angles: from scope, from content, and from geography. By content, it means the pros and cons of the technological and the intelligent innovations of the fourth industrial revolution with respect to level of adoption in Nigeria, and how it has influenced the characteristics of the practicing firms in Nigeria. And geography, it looks at the different geopolitical zones that we have in Nigeria with focus on the state with highest cluster of architectural firms as established by ACON registered. So the literature looked at various works of literature, the ones that established the fourth industrial revolution and the consequences that came with it, the ones that review the architectural firms registration from year to year, and the ones that also establish the extent to which the firms utilize some of these technologies that are associated with the fourth industrial revolution. And the gaps were also identified to show why it's important to look at the characteristics of architectural design practicing firms, even though Oluwatayo did something close in 2009. But because the era started in 2011, this study believes that if we look at the characteristics again, there might be possibility that the technological innovation has influenced what the characteristics of the firm looks like. So the study also identified the gap that encourages that study look into emerging technologies, the gap that shows that they establish the impact of technology on architectural practice, but left those emerging technologies that this study also look into. And then it also showed the gap where it became necessary to look at the drivers that affected the adaptation of some of these technologies. And all of these put together and the objectives were used to set up this conceptual framework. Because the literature body already established that we have various categories of evaluation, from formative evaluation to summative evaluation to process evaluation to impact evaluation and to outcome evaluation. So the objectives of the study revolve around these different forms, which also generated what we call framework for the study. So the methodology, the population, like I said, is the ACON registered firm as established by ACON, and then the data is primary. The sampling method is multi-stage. Nigeria is the main study area. The primary sampling unit is the geopolitical zones, and the secondary sampling unit is the state with the highest cluster as established by Register of Architects. Then the ultimate sampling units are the selected firms that were used. And then the Andrew Fisher's formula was used to calculate our sample size from the sample frame of 758 to sample size of 481. So the table 6s is showing the different analysis techniques that were used for different objectives, even though the main instrument was questionnaire. So from cross tabulation for objective 1 to frequency analysis to correlation to factor analysis and regression and to cluster analysis. And then the result. Now, like I said, that Oluwatayo already established the characteristics of architecture firms, but before the era that is called fourth industrial revolution in 2011. So this study again looked into what the characteristics look like because of the nature of the technology. So the figure 7 is showing the different configuration of the numbers of different firms that we have in each of those geopolitical zones, and Lagos is leading, and followed by Abuja. And this also aligned with the work of Almas and for our 2023 that architectural firms are often clustered in areas with high economic activity. The other figure here, figure 8, is showing the year of establishment of firms, and this also aligns with the work of Ayo Odifiri 2023, that emergence of private sector driven architectural practices after 2000 is significant, and it became more significant in 2011 as established by this study. So the characteristics also looked at farm size to see whether technology has influenced the sizes of firm, and it is in this order, and the ownership structure is also displayed here, and the result is consistent with Oluwatayo and Amale 2013, who documented that architectural firms in Nigeria have various ownership, and that is shown in the chart displayed here. And then figure 11 is showing the affiliation of firms, even though the study is concentrating on architect firms that were registered with ACON, but the result also showed that some of these firms have affiliation with foreign bodies. And Adeni Eto already indicated that having a membership in several professional association is also an hedge, because it helps businesses access global best practice, such as the fourth industrial revolution we are talking about. So the study also documented the level of technological adoption and BIM implementation as displayed here. And then as we can see, the extensive adopters are limited to only 46 firms, and Lagos is still leading, and that still aligns with what literature review is saying, that the state with economic activities, they have the tendency of benefiting more, probably maybe because of the cost implication of investing in technology and all of that. So the study also looked at software used for design and documentation. In this order, the study also established the application used for communication, and also established the firm means of collaboration. All of the technological tools that were identified in the course of the literature were the variables used to measure all of these that were displayed in this chart. The emerging technologies employed by firms are also documented in the study from year of technology of adoption, to actually see if architects in this part of the world are actually laid back in catching up with technology, or to see if they always wait for something to prompt them to want to move. Having looked at what happened in the 1982 CAD revolution, to 3D era, to BIM era, and the result of this research showed that the architects here actually, the study showed that they actually slow until the post-COVID era. Probably maybe the COVID era, because of the things that came with it, now pushed for some of the firms to buy into some of the technologies that allow them to work virtually, to work in relationship and collaboration with others. So, and the firm year of establishment is also discussed in relationship with technological adoption, and firms, it shows that firms established after 2020 employ the use of all these technologies more compared to other firms that were employed previously. And this suggests that firms prioritize the use of technology and indicates they are moving towards the fourth industrial revolution faster than some other firms that were registered before then. There was also a comparison between farm size and technology adoption. There's also a comparison between farm location and technology adoption to see if there's a relationship or if they influence the adoption of this. And there's also a comparison between year of adoption and the kind of technology that these firms adopted. And the main thing here is that the data analytics is about the list of the technology that was adopted by some of these firms. And literature already emphasizes that data analytics is critical enabler for smart construction and performance. So there might be problem in this regard if architects in this part of the world are slow to catch up with data analytics too. The correlation heat map here is showing the impact of emerging trends on design practice, and the use of BIM. From this result, the use of BIM shows a high positive relationship with several design practices from what is here. And the result also supports ABEDA 2022 that assert that BIM enables architects to handle complex structures and projects. So overall, all variables against the emerging trends have p-value of less than 0.05, thereby accepting the HA hypothesis and rejecting the negative hypothesis, HO. So that the drivers and barriers are also established in the course of the study in relationship to economic factor, regulatory, collaboration, financial, organizational, technological, knowledge, and skill factor. All that were established in the course of literature were checked to group them into the drivers and the motivating factor. This is also a regression model summary of identified factors, and then this is also an overall table of factors and technology adoption level. All of these identified factors collectively have a significant impact on technology adoption. And this is also a radar chart showing that was used for categorization of these firms. Like I said, it's just to enable us to see the ones that are still tending or retaining that traditional practice method, and to also establish the ones that are moving and the categories of their movement from cluster 1, which is still more traditional, cluster 2 that represents firms that collaborate and open to technology, and other clusters like that. So the categories of architectural design practicing firms in that cluster are also identified, shown in the different numbers in the groups that they were. And then eventually the study also suggested or set up a guideline so that these architectural design practicing firms too can benefit and be up to date in the area of technology, from creation of awareness to facilitation of adoption of emerging trends, to addressing barriers of the adoption, to promoting collaboration and innovation, to aligning professional practice with supportive policies, and to implement and monitoring the evaluation. There's also implication on this study. It offers actionable insights for architectural firms, institutions, and technology providers, among many other implications. And it also contributes to the understanding and advancement of architectural practice in Nigeria, especially by bridging gaps in literature that was already established that it is low on this angle and professional practice. And it also has suggestions for future study. From there could be an econometric study that sees into how technological trends of firms and the economic impact, since the study has shown that a key driver of adoption is return on investment, among some other suggestions. So conclusively, the full transition into qualities of the fourth industrial age is challenging if you look at the infrastructural deficit that we have in the developing nation. But however, the transition is essential, especially for architectural design practicing firms in Nigeria, to be at best in terms of comparing them with what is obtainable in the global practice and landscape of architecture in the global space. So thank you very much for listening.